Hey! I just finished reading my first book, which was A Great and Terrible Beauty, and I really enjoyed it. I've read the book before, and I read the other two books in the series, Rebel Angels and The Sweet Far Thing. So going back and rereading the first book, I picked up on a lot of details that I didn't the first time after knowing like what was going to happen and different things that were going to happen in the later novel. Shall I tell you a story? A new and terrible one? Once upon a time there were 4 girls. One was pretty, one was clever, one was charming, and one mysterious. But they were damaged, you see. Bad blood, big dreams. One by one, night by night, the girls came together, and they sinned. Their sin was they believed they could be different, special, that they could be alive, adored, and needed, necessary. But it wasn't true. They were misled, betrayed by their own stupid hopes. So life took them, led them, and they went along. They faded until they were living ghosts haunting each other with what could be and what can't be. So Great and Terrible Beauty is really about this girl, Gemma, and she used to live in India, and then her mother gets killed, and they move back. Her family moves back to London. She'd never been to London before, and she attends boarding school. And in the boarding school, like, she finds out that she has these powers that she can, like, teleport to another world. And every time she's there, she can use these powers, and she can make things happen. She can think of something, and it'll happen. She basically is still grieving the loss of her mother because she doesn't fully understand what this power is, how to use it, how to work it. But she's fascinated with it at the same time, and she's also trying to make friends. She ends up becoming good friends with Felicity, Pippa, and Anne. They all have their dreams. Pippa's a romantic. She wants to marry her true love. She's also this extremely beautiful girl. She's, has the issue with her parents, her father gambling a lot of their money away, and she's feared that she's going to be married off to some old guy who's just rich. She wants to marry her true love. And you have Felicity, who's kind of mean sometimes. She's not afraid to be bold. And I think that's what I admire most in her is she doesn't care what other people think about her. Well, she gives off that impression, but secretly she does. And she also is incredibly fascinated with what other people have to say and what other people do and stuff. Anne is the scholarship student. She's there because she got a scholarship. She doesn't really come from money, so none of the other girls like her. Another character that's important in her life in the book, and his name is Kartik, and he's from India. He's this Indian boy, and he pretends to be a gypsy in the woods near their boarding school so he can watch her. And he's part of this group that's supposed to help protect her powers. That's what they say. And she finds herself kind of, developing a crush on him, even though it's not very proper. She doesn't tell her friends about her magical powers right away. But they go and they go off into the woods into the caves in the woods after their art teacher, Miss Moore, tells them stories about the order, which is actually the power that Gemma has. Basically, they start a little sorority, which is fun because girls usually they come in groups. Me and my friends, we don't go off into the woods in the caves and drink whiskey or anything. But we like to get together. It's very similar to nowadays, except it takes place in the 1800s. They wear corsets and girls wear tank tops. I thought the book had a lot of really good meanings and themes to it. I also, when I was reading, I wrote down some of the quotes. Like Miss Moore says, "One can never go back, and one always has to move forward. We're all unkind from time to time. We all do things we desperately wish we could undo. Those regrets just become part of who we are, along with everything else. Spend time trying to change that, well, it's like chasing clouds." And she also says, Things aren't good or bad in and of themselves. It's what we do with them that makes them so. Miss Moore is a very important character, but you don't get that at the beginning of the novel. You don't really think she's going to be that important. It's very she's the one who teaches the girls and tries to put in girls' minds that you don't have to be like a slave for your husband, and you can be your own independent person, and you can be just as successful. You don't have to be a housewife. You can go out and find a job and do a job and support yourself. She's very, women forward, and not a feminist, but very, you can do it yourself. Just as long as you believe in yourself, you can make it happen. And she's also in Rebel Angels, and she's very important in Rebel Angels, but I'm not gonna spoil that in case anybody wants to, read. Okay. So basically, I'm not really sure. This is like the first book review I've done with this, so I guess I would say this, I would rate this as one of my favorite books. I mean, I've read it before this, but I just read it again, and it is. It's one of my absolute favorite novels, and it's a great first novel by Libba Bray. And I would suggest you read it, and I would suggest that, you take the lessons that are in it to heart, because it's very truthful. Comments, questions, concerns, let me know. Comment, or don't comment.